Welcome to the game here. I'm Coach David Heeb. I'm sitting courtside. We're about to kick off this Class 3 Boys State Championship game between the Charleston Blue Jays and the Hogan Prep Rams. I believe that's their mascot. And first of all, Toby, my brother Toby Heeb, you're joining me here. We're talking a little Charleston Blue Jays, but let's talk about what just happened first.
Oh, my God.
Let's talk about the Stratford Lady Indians. They've just won their 83rd game in a row. They lost the game somewhere 2 years ago, then went on to win a state title. Then they just finished going back-to-back undefeated. They're back-to-back-to-back, but back-to-back undefeated. Three state titles in a row. The last 2 years they've been undefeated. And they have their whole team coming back again next year. Just talk a little bit about how much fun that group is to watch.
To me, and I don't watch a lot of girls basketball, it was awesome the way they ran the floor, pushed the ball ahead. They were all very, very skilled. Obviously, the girl that's going to Mizzou, Haley Frank, is a stud. Her sister, Kaylee's really good, but they can all play. It's not a one-person show. But they're so dominant, and it really stood out in two ways after the game. One, the California girls were not sad. They didn't cry. Like, they knew what was going to happen. They just went out there and fought and played as hard as they could. And two, the state program that was printed before the state tournament, before the Final Four started, had Stratford's coach winning 500 career wins. He just won his 500th today. So they had already predicted it.
Yeah, I agree. They were fun to watch, and California actually played really well in the first half. They shot it great. They were only down by 10 or 12 most of the first half, and they played well. It's just Stratford is just that good. I know they had a little trouble in the semifinals with Whitfield. They had a close game for a little while, but that's just a really solid team. And like you said, Haley Frank is impressive. She does everything well. She's 6'2", she shoots the three, she handles the ball. She made one move there in the middle of that game where she went around her back at mid-court. She's flying down the left side of the court with her right hand, getting back to the middle of the floor. California defender jumped her at half court, made a great play. Haley Frank, 6'2", on a dime, never missed a beat. She goes behind her back, gets back to the middle of the floor, draws all the defense, kicks it out
to
her sister who buries the three. I mean, they're so fun to watch. So congratulations to them. Let's talk a little bit about that Class 1 game. We had Eminence with our friend Pete McBride playing Walnut Grove with our friend Darren Mainders.
Right.
I actually spoke to both of those guys this morning briefly, just talking a little basketball with both of them. That was one of the best state championship games that I've ever watched.
Right.
It was comparable to the Hayti game, with the difference being,
we didn't have one dog in the fight.
Eminence, we knew both coaches. They're both JWT approved. But bottom line, it was, in the Hayti game, they left the door open for Van Far to come back in that, whereas with Eminence just, by God, made shots to get themselves back in the game. And Walnut Grove.
Right.
They're down 17 points in the fourth quarter. Yep. And they just scratched and clawed to come back. They tie the ball game.
Right.
And they not only tie the ball game, they tie it, and then they steal the ball. And they get a three-point look from Logan Thomason, the all-time leading shooter in the history of the state of Missouri.
Fifth in the nation.
Gets a look, and he misses it. That's how close this thing come from being not just a 17-point come from behind, but a come from behind win. So first of all, credit to Walnut Grove. They've been in the state finals 3 years in a row, and they just put on a show today.
Yeah.
But let's give credit also to the champs. Pete McBride wins his second state title in Eminence. His son Trent had a heck of a ball game.
Right.
The Dyer kid had a heck of a ball game. They played great defense on Logan Thomason to get out to that big lead. And then to give up that lead, they didn't panic.
Right.
They went ahead and stayed composed, and they won by 7. So just talk a little bit about what you thought about that game.
First, I thought it was really cool, and you mentioned it about Trent McBride, coach's son. in the state championship game, and then also Dawson Mainders, Coach Darren Mainders' son. So that was probably a first in history where two coaches coaching against each other got to coach their sons in the state championship game. But yeah, it's like I said here a couple weeks ago when we talked about the Final Four preview, it said Eminence is the most complete team and Walnut Grove's the most dangerous. We got to see it, all the ways that Eminence can hurt you. They're just sound defensively and offensively. They're really smart, pass it well, shoot it well. And then Walnut Grove, they just get hot and they get going and play with a ton of energy, and they can have a little 2-minute spurt where they're down 17 and now the ball game's tied. They, shot it pretty good. 23 threes in the first half, made 9 of them, and, that just gave them the ability to never be out of the game with shooting that many threes and being able to make most of them as well. But just awesome. They competed. Both teams competed. It was a fun game to watch.
Yeah, I agree. And, basically what we're about to watch here now is, we've had one team from the southeast part of the state. Like you said the other day, we really can't call Eminence a SEMO team, but they are from the southeast part of the state. It was exciting to see them win. Now we're about to watch Charleston, and we had a big show the other night where we had 8 interviews with different coaches from around the state. And the whole thing was also a tribute to Danny Farmer, who is making his 16th appearance at the Final Four, and he is trying to win his 8th state championship right now. And so right now I just saw Hogan Prep come out and do something in their warm-up. That's a little different. So I'm also interested to see their point guard. Everybody that I've talked to said he looks like Kevin Hart. So I don't know if he tells jokes or not, but I heard he's a good ball player.
Still the ball.
Yeah, he's a great defender. So Charleston, trying to win their 12th state title, and Danny Farmer is trying to win his 8th between Scott Central and Charleston. And one thing real quick, this place emptied out, did it not?
Yeah, it emptied out a ton. In those last 2 games we had Walnut Grove and Stratford both really close to where we're at, and now it's a St. Louis team and a Southeast Missouri team. So maybe they're all up there. We know that one thing JWT does not approve of at this venue is the concession stand.
Wow.
It is a long line, so maybe everybody's in line right now. And if they are, they will be there for a while. We got 17 minutes till tip-off. I'm sure that a lot of it will fill back up. I'm seeing some Blue Jay fans come in right now as the Blue Jays are doing their traditional normal warm-up and shooting their layups. Walnut Grove's down there, or not Walnut Grove, Hogan Prep's down there putting in work. So looks like it's going to be a great matchup.
Yeah, we'll go through a rundown of the pros and cons of the state tournament in Springfield here in just a minute. And so, but overall, I would say this has been a good experience.
Games have been a lot better.
The games have been better. The environment is better. I'm going to say that the environment is better. I think part of that is you have so many Southwest Missouri teams here. This is not a far drive for Eminence. This is not a far drive at all for Walnut Grove. They're like 20 minutes up the road. Stratford is literally a suburb of Springfield. So like part of it is you've had a tremendous local showing, but I don't think we've seen the large number of just casual fans that was predicted.
Right.
By a lot of people who said if you bring it to Springfield, the local fans will come and watch. I think you've had a little bit of that. Not as much as they hoped for, but
might have more if we was all in one venue.
The games over in the Hammond Student Center last night. Awesome games. Just awesome games over there because it's a little bit smaller gym. It's an old gym. That's where a lot of the great games in the history of the Missouri State Tournament were played back in the 80s. I saw triple overtime Scott County Central and Wellsville there years ago. So that was a fun game to go watch in that venue.
And Mountain Grove probably filled up about 80% of the arena when they played Charleston last night. They were rolling deep.
And that's the thing. The Southwest teams, there are a lot of Southwest teams here, and they have definitely represented well. Now, the teams that coming from other parts of the state, Van Far had a long way to come. They brought a huge crowd. I know
California,
who's from Central Missouri, they brought a huge crowd. So there's been good representation here. I love how close the gyms are side by side. That's a big plus. The parking here is terrific, way better than in Columbia. You don't have to as far to walk. I mean, there are a lot of pros here.
Downtown Springfield's amazing.
Downtown Springfield is a plus. Battlefield Mall is a plus. A lot of things going for Springfield. The things I will say that are negative, I do not like the concession stands here. They only have, I think, one concession stand open in the building.
Yeah.
And if you go to the concession stand, just expect to miss a half of the game. You're going to be in line for that long. But I would say overall they did a good job here. I'm still going to push for let's bring the best 8 teams to the last weekend and get rid of third place. And I think it'd be even better. Or if we're going to do it this way, like you just said, just bring the Final Four and get rid of third place, and we can play all these games in one gym on the last day. I think the crowd will be even better. The atmosphere will be even better.
Yeah.
But I just think that overall, I would say if we're going to play JWT or JLT here, is this a win or a loss? Final Four in Springfield, Missouri.
It's a win.
Yeah, I'm going to say
No-brainer.
It's a win also. And so nothing against my current hometown of Columbia, but I would say this is a win. So getting back to Charleston here, we'll break this down real quick, and then we'll cut out. And if you guys come back and check with us, we will be bringing you live updates of the game, live video, live audio, live tweets. If you just go to the website, justwintoday.com, we'll keep the live updates coming. But I think that the game right here is going to come down to the same thing it always comes down to for the Charleston Blue Jays. That is defense and rebounding. Can they impose their will? This team from Hogan Prep is not very big. They have one kid that's 6'5". The rest of their team is really 6'1" and under. They're not a big team. They're very quick. They're athletic. They're deep. So I don't think Charleston pressure is necessarily going to wear them down or be the difference in this game. But can the Charleston pressure just keep them at bay?
Right.
You know what I mean? Can they
and mostly keep the point guard out of the lane, keep him from creating not just his own, but creating for the other kids.
And then as we see a lot of times, the Charleston defense fuels their offense. They get out in transition, they get these threes. I don't know that that'll be the case tonight, so it's just going to come down, like I said, defense and rebounding. And then how do you score in the half court? Can they get Clark the ball in the spots where he wants the ball? Can DeMarcus Sharp continue to shoot the ball the way that he shot the ball all weekend up here? I think the Charleston bench is going to be huge. Can they get something out of their bench? I think a guy like Tucker is going to be huge in this game. And so, I think this is an even money game. This game can go either way. Charleston beat the best team in the state when they won a quarterfinal game as far as the Class 3 teams are concerned.
Right.
They beat the heavyweight. This is going to be another heavyweight fight, but this is even money. Either team can win this ball game. I want to see them come out and play Charleston Blue Jays basketball where they guard people. They pick them up as soon as they walk out of the huddle. They go get every rebound, and they finish like a Southeast Missouri team is supposed to finish.
Absolutely, and that's what they're going to have to do is finish in the lane, make shots around the rim like they do, and like you said, that Charleston just got to come and do what they do. Guard, keep the point guard out of the lane, don't let him create anything, get back in transition, just crash the glass. One thing I think you're going to have to really keep an eye on is how they call this thing early. Both teams are probably going to pressure hard and get up in you. If they try to clean it up early, whoever adjusts sooner and realizes that quicker might have an advantage early on. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on.
I agree, and like we always say in the Final Four, you've got to adjust half to half because those officials go back there at halftime and they get ripped by their evaluators and get told they're doing things wrong. So they come out in the second half and they call the game differently. So that happens every year up here, and I'm looking at the officiating crew we have now. I actually know one official. He referees a lot of home games at Prairie Home. It's just going to come down to shot making, and let's play some Charleston Blue Jays basketball right here. We'll come back probably sometime before halftime with some live updates, and we appreciate everybody tuning in and all the support for the website. It's been a fun weekend of basketball, and we're hoping to bring another banner back to Southeast Missouri here as Charleston Blue Jays, the factory, are trying to bring number 12 back to Charleston. We'll be back.